Hey, there we go. It worked.
How are we doing today,
Not too
Rob?
bad, sir. How are you doing, Matty?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. Just drinking some old microwave coffee here. It's doing fantastic.
Oh, that's always better to hear it. So, I had a little think about what we were going to talk about on this episode of the Den, episode 3. And in the past few weeks, there has been an article bouncing around the internet on all the different sort of music sites and that. Specifically about Randy Blythe from Lamb of God, which are an amazing band, and I love Randy. He's a great guy. No bad words for him. They're a band out of Richmond, Virginia, I believe, in the US. Um, it keeps going around now and then, here and there, about mobile phones at concerts and gigs, and should they be allowed. He said that it takes you out of the moment, and I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from, and he also said that if it keeps happening at his gigs, he's going to grab a chair, put it at the front of the stage, sit in front of the audience with his phone, and film the audience during a whole song to make them see how it feels. And being as you're going to be the co-host for this episode, I want to ask your opinions on that. Like, what do you think? Do you think he's right? We've got some quotes from other people that we've asked during the week. I've put a little post out there saying, like, what do you think to everyone else? And we'll discuss those too.
Yeah, I saw your post, and I also did the same thing you did, and I got a lot of replies. So, nonetheless, it strikes a chord amongst music fans and musicians. So I give them that. I mean, it's a controversial thing. So that being said, my opinion on it would be, well, first of all, let's play some shows. So I would like to play more shows. I wanted to talk to you about trying to set up some gigs in the UK, because you're in the UK, and the UK is one of the most fantastic places for rock and metal bands to play. So
Agree with
the
that, yep.
odd guy is talking about doing these things with the cell phones, but he's playing gigs, so that's really good. So I would like to play some more gigs and then deal with that issue. But I understand that it's a question. So other than my rant of me wanting to play shows, which we should talk about, I would
We can
say,
get into I've got all evening, so we can get onto that. Absolutely. I mean, let's do it.
yeah, no, I know, but what I'm saying is, like, because I've been playing lots of shows. Unfortunately, I haven't played a show in the past year, and that's kind of hard for any one of us music artists if we're not playing shows on a regular basis. Taking a year between shows is very tough. So that's where I'm at. So again, my mindset is maybe a little different than the guy from Lamb of God, who's most likely playing show after show after show. But that being said, when I am playing show after show and show after show, which I've been doing in the past, the cell phone thing doesn't necessarily bother me at all, because
Okay.
here's my reasoning why. Because if somebody's paying $12, $40, whatever it is for the ticket sales to get into the show, and the show venue and promoters and the band have an agreement where cell phones are allowed, that if somebody wants to stand there and film with their cell phone the whole time, then they can. I would say, like, if the entire room of people, let's say it was like a 300, let's say it was one of the O2 academies, which are places that I love to play when I come to the UK.
They're pretty decent. I like those.
They're amazing, but they're not the biggest places, right? Like the London Underground is not a big place, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's not a 2,000 seat venue. It's like, what is it, like a 300 seat venue? 400.
Yeah, it's not like the small venue where you start off. It's the sort of, I mean, in our one we've had bands like Trivia. We've had so many different bands.
No, no,
Trivium.
big bands. I'm not saying the size. Yeah, big bands play there. But what I'm saying is, it's not like I'm just trying to paint a picture in somebody's mind. So like if it's a 300 seat venue, just picture a 300 seat venue, not a very big place, very intimate size venue. And if all 300 people were standing there, standing, looking into their phones, I mean, even I would probably say like, hey, what's going on? Why is everybody in here doing that? But if you have like 7 or 8 people in the front row and they're just constantly filming, that's up to them. That's up to them. It's fine. I mean, like I said, if there's no contractual agreement with the venue or the band that says like, by the way, this show, we're limiting the cell phone usage. Maybe they did what like photographers usually do, like you can take photos of the band for the first 3 songs and then the photographers have to leave. You know what I mean? If it was something like that, I can understand. But if it's not, like if it's like, no, there's no restrictions, people can use their cell phones, nobody's saying you can't, well, then they can. And then they're going to put those videos up on YouTube, which actually, in my opinion, is a good thing, because as a person that plays shows, I usually go in the tour van when everybody's sleeping. I'll be on my cell phone trying to look up the show from the night before to see how we played. So like I use the fans' footage to my advantage. I'm like, oh, we sounded cool on that part. We should definitely, keep doing that. Or like, ooh,
Okay.
I should probably change what I'm doing on that part because that was weird what I did there. Thank you.
I've never looked at it that way. I've looked at it from the sort of the audience point of view, but I suppose if you look at it from the artist point of view, it is a good tool to have, as you said, for looking back, seeing what you could have done better, what you did good, to develop your show for your next audience, to make it better. I never thought of it that way. But my original, I suppose, knee-jerk reaction would be, as an audience member, why are you going to a show to film it when you could just stay at home and watch that on the television? And you also, like a couple of people have said on the poll that maybe 1 or 2 pictures or 1 or 2 videos is okay, but I mean, you're there for that experience. You're experiencing the band that you've paid all that money to go and see, to just watch them through a screen, that sort of thing. I think that was the majority of what people were saying on the poll, and I can partly agree with that, because you've given me another side of the coin to look at and go.
Well, Ricky Slayer says, this is social media promoting is new to me, but I do hate recording at shows, but I do it to be able to promote. Plus, people who didn't attend the show, like, yeah, Ricky Slayer does it because maybe there's somebody that can't make it to the show, and because some bands bring camera crews. Like, if you're going to a Metallica show, don't worry, you'll most likely get to see a professional video of it afterwards somewhere down the line, because they have mega money and they can do that. And even like a lot of medium tier bands, and even smaller bands especially too, everybody sometimes they film shows like on the bands. So you don't need to do it for that reason, but if you want to do it and throw it up, like some people might want to, just trying to think of why somebody would want to do it. Maybe somebody wants to go to shows often and see lots of local bands, and they have a YouTube channel where it's basically their perspective of all the different bands they go to, and they want to cultivate and create a YouTube channel for it. That's cool. Like, if that's what, like, again, if the fan or the person who's filming is allowed to do it and there was no restrictions, like nobody said, by the way, no cell phones in the show. If there's no rule, then there's no reason for anybody to huff and puff about it. Like I said, unless 293 people out of the 300 were all looking at their cell phones at the same time, I would be like, oh, this is a little weird. what's going
Okay.
on. But if it's like 7 or 18 people, which usually it is, there's usually like, I mean, come on, every recent show I've played, there's 27 people out of like 300 that are filming at all times. You
Yeah.
know, now there's a difference between that and what somebody could deliberately do. Like, for example, there's been a show or two where somebody just takes the cell phone and puts it right up to your face while you're playing like this, and then they aren't like looking like to get a good shot. They're looking at. They're not even watching their phone. They're looking at you
Reaction from you,
like there's some bad energy with this person, and he's
yeah.
shoving his phone in your face. Like, well, in that situation, that would be no different than somebody that is just invading your space, and you're maybe feeling a little uncomfortable, and you could use that as like, hey, don't do that, please. Like,
Right in
that's
the face.
weird.
Like if you worked in an office, you wouldn't expect someone to come in and shove a phone in your face.
Yeah,
Like this is my job,
stare at
like
you like
it's the
that.
same thing.
Yeah. So it's I understand it's a thing. A lot of people like this. We could talk. We could have this whole show could be about this, but
Of course.
really, like, at the end of the day, like, if somebody wants to go to a show and they pay money to go to the show, and they want to film it on their phone, and they're allowed to, then they're going to do it, and that's what they're going to do. And as long as they're respectful enough, like, other than the fact that they're standing
That's the
there
point I
watching
was
the
going to
show
make.
through their phone.
Sorry to cut off, but the respect side of it, on the flip side, that's one of the main points, is the respect side for the other audience members. I mean, I went to see Alice Cooper go like this. I went to see Alice Cooper actually in Cardiff not long ago. Well, it was about 2 years ago, something like that. And there was a guy in front of me with a tablet, and he was filming the show, and it was blocking the view of us behind. And we actually had to go like, "I'm sorry, like, I get that you're filming it, but can we can't see." So from that point of view, and I mean, you go back to, it's a bit far, but the 70s, and no one had that. You were in the moment, you were watching it, and everyone got on with each other, but constantly fight. Like, it's not even just gigs, it's everywhere nowadays. They've got phones, they're filming everything, there's no interaction with everyone around you. And I get what you're saying about, if there's no obligation to not record, then great, whatever. But also, there's got to be that air of respect about it. Do you agree with that? Or
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like, if, let's say, you're a fan. I hate the word fan. If you're just there to see the show and you
yeah,
don't have a cell phone, but you're I've had situations where people don't have cell phones. I mean, even before people were bringing cell phones to shows, if you go to a show with like a bad energy or a chip on your shoulder, and you act or do something um, during the show that catches the attention of somebody on stage, and they feel threatened or feel invaded or feel like you're doing something with bad intentions, or obviously you're not doing something because you're there to see the show. There's something else about you that you are presenting somehow, whether it's the way that you're standing, or how you're moving about, like your eye, like just certain things. Like, it's not often, this doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And then in that situation, cell phone or not. But when you're talking about somebody with just a cell phone and they just want to record the show, and they're standing there and they're watching well, that's they're missing out on the show because they're on their phone, and that's what they want to do, and they're not bothering me. I'm still headbanging. I mean, I'll be headbanging, and they'll be filming. That's awesome. They can film my hair flips
that's
or
really
whatever.
that's a really good answer. To be fair, I mean, you've changed my mind a little bit, because I came into it with the no, phone shouldn't be allowed. Be in the moment, enjoy yourself. Whatever. But at the same time, they are enjoying themselves, and as long as they're not, I mean, as long as they're not getting in my way and I can see what's going on, then why should I be bothered as to what they're doing?
I,
Which
I
is
think I
answer.
think
I
to
like
that
that.
Lamb of God guy, it's like, I don't know who it is or what band he's in, but it
Yeah.
just sounds like he's been working a lot, and he's taking his like if anybody works a job and they work it a lot, and they're just constantly working. Maybe they worked a little bit more this week than normal. Like,
Yeah.
failing your job could maybe irritate you. And to me, that guy from Lamb of God, he's at work. He's working. He's playing a show, which a lot of people don't understand. When they see a show, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to see my favorite band play all these songs." But in reality, the band is like, "I'm going to work."
Yeah.
Right?
It's like getting a customer and coming and asking you a question. You've had the same
Like,
question
I'm not trying to
3 times the same day. And oh my God, not this question again. And you get frustrated because, for them it's the first time, but for you it's the 20th time. That sort of thing.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to spoil it for everybody, because it's not that black and white. But what I'm saying is, he's working every night. So for him, seeing a cell phone for the 20th show in a row, maybe something got to him because he's been working a lot, and he's working overtime, and he's just frustrated about something that happened at work, which happens to be his job is where somebody does stand there with a cell phone, unlike if you're working in an office. That typically, but in an office, maybe somebody at the water cooler who's always there every time you're there saying like, "Hey, how's the weather?" After 20 times in a row of that, you're like, you know what? Like, Ricky Slayer shouldn't be at the water cooler every day at the same time, because he really frustrates me.
Yeah,
Always asking me the same question about the weather. So the Lamb of God guy is just like, everybody, if they put their cell phones up again, I'm going to do this. Oh, I just lost my light. But you can still hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can't see you, but I can hear you. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and to round it up, what Ricky Slayer is saying is, when you go to big famous artist shows, this whole different thing. Too many people on the phones, both ends are right, which is correct. I think we went into this conversation with me thinking one end, and I've come away thinking like both ends are right, as Ricky's saying. And Ricky's asking, how's the weather?
Exactly. Ricky there is always one to bring the humor. Let me get this here. I'm trying to. It's like I'm working in the dark here. That was crazy, but I'm fixing it.
Oh, okay. Is it your actual lighting, or is it your phone? Oh, that okay. You are in the dark.
I'm in the dark, man. I'm in the dark. It's just that my setup here is on a thing, and it's.
Yeah, no problem. There we go. Cool.
I can't see you.
Yeah, that was a good conversation, to be fair. So next on the agenda then is a big thing that I want to ask as well, to be honest. And I know that a lot of people who probably go back to watch this or who are watching it now, I know Ricky has said about it. Alice Cooper guy said about it. Play in the UK, be it with 96 or as Janaitis or Janaitis with Distortion, we need to make it happen. So over to you.
Well, so let's talk about it, because like I was saying earlier, like I haven't played a show in a year, and I didn't retire. So if I didn't retire and I haven't played a show in a year, then it means I want to play more shows. So how could one do that? What I'm thinking is, there's many ways to do it. If like people do a lot, like punk rock. Okay, so there's a band called the Darts that just played here in Turku. They have a huge touring. It's called the Boomerang Tour. It's 4 girls, and they're called the Darts, and they're touring around the world. And they have like shows almost every day. And they do have a booking agent, apparently, because that's what they're saying. But either way, they're playing in all these towns, and they're meeting all these people. And a lot of like what they're doing, I think it's very possible. For example, you're there in the UK. So if you were to contact like maybe 2 or 3 venues that we could play, Janaitis and Distortion, for example, could play, and then we somehow can get the gigs where they're kind of like in a row, like maybe 3 days in a row, then we can start contacting all the people around those areas to try to get them to, promote the show like locally. And then we can make a little crowdfunder to get us there and do all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I think if we were to do that anywhere in the world, we would have to. So here's the real idea. It's like at first it would be like that. It would be like finding a person in that area, getting them to secure like 2 or 3 shows. So it's not worth doing one. It's worth doing like 2 or 3. So we have potential to, yeah.
Yeah.
And then having the crowdfunding of that to do that. But that would be the initial time. And we do that, and then maybe like 7 months later, or 8 months later, or a year even later, possibly, whatever, we go back there. And
Yeah.
in the hopes that, well, this time maybe we don't have to put so much effort into figuring out how we're going to get there because A, we just played. B, the reason why we're going back is because, well, in our situation, we played 3 shows in the UK area. And when we went there and did it, it was like beyond our expectations. And those 3 shows were super amazing. We broke even. We even made a little bit of profit, but we weren't like, millionaires afterwards, but we didn't lose money, which in today's day and age, bands lose money all the time. So we didn't lose money. We gained all these contacts like for our group, and all these people really enjoyed our show. So now, 7 months later, we have a follow-up. And when we go back, it's going to be a little bit better. And
Yeah.
it's like a grassroots way of doing it, but if we can do it somehow where we're incorporating using people in the area and then also using little bits of crowdfunding to get us there, just the start. And then after like maybe 1 or 2 times of doing that, we'd no longer need to do that. And then hopefully by then, we will be noticed by booking agents and or other entities that may be that are like, hey, I noticed that you guys have come through here twice, and by the way, you've gone to Southern California, you've gone to Canada, you've gone to Sweden, and you guys did this all on your own like a few times now, and we see a lot of potential in your band because you guys are doing stuff and people are, so you know what I'm saying, like
Yeah, absolutely.
right, because
You get the gradual progression through it, but in the beginning, you need to sort of fund it yourself, get yourself out. I mean, with all due respect, you've got a name for yourself anyway, be it with 96, with Andy, with FFU, that sort of thing. So being able to put that out there is also a big bonus to say,
okay,
like,
well, okay, but
but here's this show, this new show, and it's going to be really great,
yeah,
and it's going to involve, songs from this band and
but
that band and original material.
but also, Rob, what I'm also saying is, and by talking to you, like for example, Ricky Slayer would be another contact to use for California, and
Yeah,
Martin, who's out there in New York, and me from Philly. I have so like okay, but we're going to go back to your example. So the UK,
okay.
Rob is going to, because you live there, you're going to find possibly 3 places, right? But not only are you going to find, but you're also going to go into your Rolodex, old school Rolodex, of contacts of bands that you know
Yeah.
and other people that you know, your contacts, and you're going to say, look, we're trying to do this. Oh, my buddy's band, they're like blowing up in Leeds right now. And they want to collab with us and do one of the shows. Okay, show in Leeds, that's going to be a good one.
I've already
And
got
then
you in
and then
mind. Yeah.
I have 2 bands in Manchester that they're like really good friends, and they have like a really good local following, and they have a really great venue. So they said that we could do the show. And by the way, they're saying that we can come there and do the show and make all the money from the show because they know that we're traveling.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna hook us up and do us a bro favor.
Yeah.
because
Yeah, absolutely.
we're coming all the way. You know, the Darts, they came here to Turku, Finland. They played with one of my old bands, and they made a lot of money because everybody was accommodating to them because they're all the way from America. You know,
Yeah,
and it's like out of respect, like, dude, props to you, ladies, for traveling from all the way from the U.S. to a little bar in Turku, Finland. Here you go. Take all the money from the door, and everybody at that show bought their merch. Like they made out like bandits,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but it's because they did that. Like they had the cojones to actually do that, and I give them big respect for that. And I think that
Yeah.
we need to do something like that. I want to do something
And I
like
think
that.
we
Like I
can. I
said,
think
I'm
the
not
more than
retiring.
capable of doing
So what am I doing? I want to do this then, I guess,
it.
until something better idea comes along.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I think it's completely feasible too. I mean, we've got lots of resources as it stands anyway. We've got people that are following us. We've got the alliance page, that sort of thing,
Well,
I think
listen, we're brainstorming, but what we have, yes, that's right, we do, right? And let's use everything that we can. You know, we'll name drop as much. Fine, that's a given. Yeah, name
yeah,
drop out the wazoo, whatever. But aside from that, we're 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 stating the obvious. Like, I'm here, right? So my flight's going to cost. Everybody in the world knows how much flights cost. It's not a secret. So
yeah,
obviously they know that it's going to cost money to get there, right?
of
But
course.
what I'm saying is, if we can arrange it where the bands are helping us out, maybe we can find some accommodations. And if we need the little bit of crowdfunding, what I'm saying, and we can get it, that would actually be a little bit extra help. And like I said, the bands are going to be accommodating to us and be like, you know what, like, we're going to charge $10 at the door, and we'll just take $1 or two, and we'll give you guys the rest or whatever. Like, if we can work out some cool deal where like everybody's cool, for starters, I think that would be worth trying to do. I would be into doing that, and in the hopes that we can do it a few times where we end up building a buzz for ourselves, and in the meantime doing the things that we normally need to do. Like, we're working on this next single, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like when that comes out, I think because of that song, that's going to have a big buzz. It's probably going to do even better than the Lucid Dream song, possibly, because it's already got a big buzz going on for it, right?
Yeah.
So we're still
It's
going to do the
one of the
things
songs
that
I've
bands
got to
need
say that.
to
That's
do.
great.
Yeah, we'll still do the things that bands need to do
Yeah.
on the side. Getting that song into a, like, the other thing is, it's like, we wouldn't need to talk about any of this if our song was like in a hit TV series or something, or in a movie. Well,
Yeah.
then we wouldn't have to worry about it. We would be playing shows because everybody would know our song. But see, our song is
Yeah.
not in a hit TV series or a movie. Okay, so what we have to
But
do
you
is, like,
find the
well,
right
either
ways and the
this
right
Brown
avenues
delay
to
thing,
get
or
it onto the TV.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like, yeah. Because there's a guy from South Africa, but he lives in London currently, called Dream Kid. It's a synthwave thing. I've got my Fury Road thing, so I follow him. And yesterday he announced that the new Terrifier film, Terrifier 3, one of my favourite songs from his first album, oh no, it's his second one, his newest one, is actually going to be in the film. And I do not know how he managed to do it, but he's come from this small artist that no one knew about to this, all of a sudden he's got his song in a movie. So, I mean, if we can sort of work out how that works as well, as you said, we'll be laughing. That'd be great,
yeah,
you
that's
know?
what we have to do. It's called Sync.
Yeah.
Called Sync, and Courtney Nord knows all about it, and so does Life with Distortion Martin, and so do I, and so will you. We have to do that because that's how you do that, right? That's all it is. Whether you do it yourself or somebody else, it is possible to have like a song that you make and you put it on Spotify, and then some random music coordinator for a movie stumbles upon your song, because they do that. They go out of their way to try to find new artists, but having that is like a lot harder than actually starting to meet contacts in the sync licensing world, and saying, establishing connections there, and start giving your music to these people, because they won't really pick your music most of the time anyway, because they only are looking for certain things. Like, if
Okay.
Terrifier 3 was what your friend did,
Yeah.
well, they already knew what they wanted this song that sounds like this and does this. So even if we had the best song in the world and it didn't fit their criteria, well, then our song isn't going to be in that movie, period.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem. But what I'm saying is we should do the things that bands need to do, which that's one of them. And all the other things that bands need to do, like record and promote and do live streams and do all these things. But if we want to play shows and we can do a punk rock version of it, but in this today, that's the punk rock version. It's like get a little crowdfunding to get there, have the bands that you know at the place that you're going to be accommodating, bring their friends out, make it a thing where it's like everybody knows that they're hosting us because we're coming from far away. So everybody's going to be cool that we're doing it, and we appreciate you guys for letting us do that. And then we go and we play, and hopefully we get in good with the bands and we get in good with the audience, and then we say like, cool, like in the next 8 to 10 months we'll be back here, and we'll maybe do 4 or 5 shows, because in the hopes that we did so good and we created a buzz, and while we were there we didn't waste time and just be like, ugh. Like we went to all the local stores and the record stores and we gave people our stuff, and we met people, and we whatever. It's not easy, but it's
Of course.
possible. It's possible.
Anything that
And
you
next
want
thing
is not easy.
we did everything on our own. And then when bands do things on their own, that's when other people want to pick it up and take it to
Yeah.
the next level. And I'm coming to the fact where I think it's almost pointless to do things on your own. It's having entities help you is where it's at. Like you're not going to get on Clear Channel, but if you get on Clear Channel, unfortunately, you'll get into all of the cool venues. So it's like I want to be able to have Clear Channel contact us and have the option to say like no or yes. We can still say no if we create our own buzz and we make really good music and people like it, and we go to niche areas of the world, like again, California, New York and Philly, the UK. Let's not get too crazy here. We got 3 places. We're not our expectations are, but at the same time, like I do know lots of people. Me
Right.
personally, I know lots of people. I know people in Canada. I know people in Italy. I know people. I mean, whatever. I know people. But I do. I talk to people all the time. My DMs right now of all these amazing artists, like Corey Choro. He's Shania Twain's guitarist. He's
Oh
texting me.
wow. Okay.
So, like, I know people. I know
Yeah.
people. But I think more importantly, I know people. It's so lame. It's so stupid. I think more importantly, I think it's people like Ricky Slayer and it's people like you, because you are in the UK. Ricky Slayer is in Ricky Slayer. Ricky Slayer is not necessarily going to be maybe the guy that's going to do it for us, but he's going to be the guy that can. He's the guy that shows us the guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because he's there and he cares and he knows. Maybe not Ricky. I'm not putting you on the spot, but what I'm saying is maybe you're a bad example at this moment. Let's just focus
Actually,
on
one of the
Rob in the
problems with
UK.
Ricky.
Yeah, no, Ricky Slayer's a legend, and
Yeah,
I'm
he is.
saying throwing his name around
Great guy.
because he is. But like before we talk about Southern California, then and Ricky, we can talk about this. Let's just talk to Rob. Rob, you're there. UK. Because the thing is, one destination. What I'm trying to basically say, and this rant that I'm going on is, I'm not. I'm just saying one niche destination at a time.
Absolutely.
And it's going to take a few years. So,
But if you're
few
committed,
years,
I
a
mean,
few
if we're committed with
years.
it, you'll just,
And in my
you know,
opinion, it's
there's
not going to
enough.
change my lifestyle any different, because at the end of the day, we're we're coordinating these shows. Let's say we do the 3 shows in the UK in January, which is probably too soon, but let's just pretend. Well, really, once we do all that, once we get it booked and we just, life is normal. Like we just promote them and do all the things we would do, work during the day, promote the show when we have time, right? Nothing changes in our lifestyles. The only thing is I have to fly there and we play 3 shows and then I come home. Ooh, is that going to kill me? No, it's not. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
So what I'm not fine with, and because I'm just not, is I'm not going to go there for a month and play 30 shows. I'm not going to do that.
No.
I don't need to do that. I'm not a teenager anymore. I don't want to do that. And for there's no reason to do that. But
you've got to be sensible with it,
yeah.
you know? Yeah.
I mean, we could go there
play,
for a month and do it.
It would be respectable.
We'll play every shithole in the UK and
in Bristol.
No, we're not going to do that. But what can we do? We can play 3 shitholes, right?
Yeah,
we can play 3 shitholes, and I don't mean to disrespect them. I'm just saying, like, 3 clubs, 3 venues, right? We're not going to probably do the.
We're not going to fill those places out. I mean, we might. You never know. It might be a surprise.
We might because what you were saying, we might. And I think we should. I think we should strive for that because, like I said,
absolutely,
we're not coming there saying like we're coming. We're doing something like we're collaborating with the local talent. You know what I mean? We're collaborating with the local talent, so it's a thing where people are expecting us. They're going to appreciate the fact that we're traveling and going out of our way to come there, and they're going to be accommodating and. The thing can go back to them. Like if they ever want to come to Finland, I know people here. I can the same thing. We could try to help them out too. Whatever. But
that when we work and everything at the gig, that sort of thing. As Ricky said in a few comments up, like it's a music brotherhood or sisterhood.
Yeah,
you've got group of musicians, and that's how you get places. Is networking and becoming friends with other musicians.
I think so because the music world is so small. And Ricky, I love you, and I'm just throwing your name around because you're always here. But I think at the end of the day, like it's people like Ricky, it's people like Rob. Even though Rob is playing with me, it's like, but you're still there in a place that I want to go because the UK to me is like one of the meccas of playing. Don't get me wrong, Bulgaria and Slovenia, you're great too. Everybody's great, but it's like the UK is a great place to go. And because Rob lives there, I don't know anybody that lives in actually, I do know people that live in Slovenia, but I don't know people in my band that live in Slovenia. But Rob is in my band. So it's great that Rob lives somewhere because then when we go there, guess what? Rob doesn't have to pay for a flight. He's already there. So it's like, it's also a good idea to go there because it's cheaper.
And you've got accommodation too, because I've got a spare room. So.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm saying. But like, obviously, you don't know, but I mean, maybe you do, but like actually the Eastern Bloc area, like Slovenia, Bulgaria, those places are off the hook. Those places have been deprived of rock and roll music for years and years and years. And when bands come through those places, they are amazing shows. So I think eventually those are places that we would want to go because if you're an American band and you're playing there, they don't care what it is, they'll go. So a lot of bands and tours overlook those. Not a lot, but some, and they really shouldn't because Bulgaria, Slovenia, Slovakia, great places to play. But I digress. So the UK would be a place, and then maybe Philly and New York, Boston area. Whatever, Baltimore, like because that would be where the other band member lives, and I'm from Philadelphia, so we could probably do the Kung Fu Necktie that everybody plays at, and then like a few other shows or whatever, and we start off there. Like that's 2 niche places, Southern California could be like a third option later down the road, but I don't want to get like, we can't just go playing everywhere. We can't, but we can do it one niche at a time. And at the end of the day, like if we end up doing like the UK and Philly and New York for like 2 or 3 times in a row, and we get to the point where every time we go there, we kind of already know what to expect. Well, I think that's pretty awesome. I'm happy with that, and we
Me
can
too.
just knock off one other place. We could be like, cool, let's make it 3,
And
or else
you never know, during that period of time, someone might come to you and
you
go,
meet
"Wow,
people,
that's great. We can
like
come and play here." Like, you know,
so
which is,
I think I think it's something that we should cultivate more. We're we're going to try to get this next song done soon.
yeah,
You know, and then there's we can keep working on music because obviously, people want to go to the shows because they hear music. So we need to make more music. So that's fine. We're going to do that. But in the meantime, I
absolutely.
think it's a good idea to think about getting this ready. Um,
Absolutely.
hopefully you think it's a good idea, and if you do, hopefully you'll come up with reasons why we shouldn't, so we can because I want to hear what's not going to work, because whatever's
Yeah.
not going to work, let's figure that out too, so we can be like, all right, well, let's change the strategy on that part because that's not going to work. Let's do things that will work,
Yeah.
basically.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And as Ricky says, I mean, it's about getting the connections and manifesting, right place, right time kind of thing. And
Yeah,
he's more than happy to. We have to manage something. No, where was it? I can definitely help to reach out to venues. I really wanted to do this for '96 and for you guys. So there we go. There we go. There's another contact straight away that
yeah, and I think I
it's
think
great.
I think other than the fact that we can use our whatever it is that we're doing, I think what's more juicy for a show promoter, as I used to be a show promoter myself, so I know that when a show promoter hears a band um, coming, it's one thing if they're like, oh, this band is coming, but it's another thing if you're like, hey, there's this thing that's going on, and these guys are coming to do this, and it's going to be this.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, it's not a show about our band coming as much as it is once we talk to the other bands that we're going to play with and we come up with like a thing where it's like a show, then that's what we shop to the promoters or the venues and say, look, we want to do this show where we're all going to do these things together.
Yeah.
And the promoter can look at it like a show, not just like, oh, some band from wherever is coming out to play. Like they're not really going to bring anybody. Like I don't really want to book them. We're bringing a show. So the crowdfunding money might even have to be money that we use to pay for the venue up front and say, like, look, just give us the room for the night and we'll deal with it. How much is it? Oh, it's $800 for the night, $1,200. Okay. All right. Well, we need to come up with that money, but then it'll be our room, and it'll be our show. We can do whatever we want, stuff like that, because that works. It does work. It's very risky too. Like it could be a bad night. It could rain. Maybe there's a soccer game, a football game that
Yeah.
night. Like those things you have to worry about
Yeah.
too.
But
But if the stars are aligned and we do it, it would work, and we would end up not losing money and gaining some new fans and a new place to call home as far as touring.
exactly.
Yeah,
But the main thing is we need to get the ball rolling. As you say, we need to get the songs out there, and we need to really knuckle down and start thinking, right, how are we going to do this?
yeah,
I think we're all in the same mindset. I just think we need to action a plan.
sure. And if we do those shows that I'm talking about, and we go out and we play, and there's people there filming us with their cell phones, I won't worry about it. I'll just be like, cool, you paid for the
Yeah.
ticket, you came to the show, film away, film away.
And I think that's a great place to bring it all the way back around. So yeah,
We could call
it's been really
it
good.
the film away tour. I like the sound of it.
Film away tour. Janaitis with distortion. Film away
Yeah,
tour.
we encourage you to bring your cell phones and film away. We're doing the
Well,
opposite of what working the bands, but again, that guy in that band he's been working a lot. right? Because I'm
Yeah.
assuming Lamb of God, they've been around for a while, so they're probably touring a lot. I'm guessing. So if they're working a lot, that could get frustrating. You could be like the 20th show in a row that you're watching somebody film. You're like, stop filming me. This is annoying. But it's just like it's work. It's work. Deal with it. What are you going to do?
There we go. Well, thank you very much. That brings it all around for us, full circle. Thank you for co-hosting this episode. We're going to try and make this one a weekly show. Hopefully, Matty will co-host if he'd like to.
And like I think that instead of just calling you and talking to you on just our phones, we're basically me. Everybody here knows me. I talk on the live streams, and I think it's better because when I'm thinking out loud on the live stream, the pressure's on. So I do try to think of something good. And then when I don't or I do, I luckily have, everybody here to write in the comments like, hey, Maddie, that's a dumb idea. Or, hey, Maddie, that's a cool idea. And then plus I got Rob also doing the same. Like, hey, I don't know, man. We're like, oh, that's a cool idea. So I think that we should do a weekly podcast. Because eventually one of my weekly podcasts are going to stick, hopefully, right? And it's going to be a big phenomenon like Joe Rogan. And whether they do or don't, as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers on our Radio channel, which is actually starting to grow slowly again, we can just start doing all of the podcasts on the YouTube channel. And we don't have to worry about Instagram anymore. But until then, until we have 1,000 people there, I'm just going to continue to do it on Instagram. And I don't care if it's 200 criteria. I want 1,000 on the Radio, and then we'll do live streams there.
Okay.
That's fair. It's my goal. I just want to get 1,000 there, and then we'll do all the podcasts there. We'll do Mac Maddie Radio, Courtney Radio, Monday if I can get a hold of Darren, and our show and Life with Distortion, and eventually we'll get other people that want to do podcasts. Like my initial goal is still the same as I told this to Rob like months ago. I'm still doing it. It's just things happen. Summertime happens. It takes time. But I've been slowly doing it. I've been slacking too. I'm just starting to upload more videos on the channel, but I've been doing them here. It's just I have to upload them, and my thumbnails are like horrible. I need to do better thumbnails. Like, all this stuff is important when you're trying to do a podcast. Like people scroll through it if the thumbnail is like me going like people are like, ugh. Actually, that was kind of cool. I would click on it to be like, why is he doing that? But probably not.
But
right. So look, I'll let you go.
Everyone in the comments, though, we need to make sure that everyone in the comments likes and subscribes to Radio, The Den, the Janaitis podcast, everything that we do. We're not doing it because, like, oh, we want to get famous. Like, we want it so we can, like, you can help us and we can put out really good content for you guys. Because I'm sure, like, in some of these discussions that Matty has, I have, we both have, you'll find something really useful and go, do you know what? I've come away from that, really interested. And I want to know more.
Like, I think you're right. Like, what we want is we just want to be able to have a place where we can go, where we know that it's always going to be this, and we're settled. We have enough subscribers that we're, maybe the algorithm and the monetization is paying us some money so we can continue to do it, or, we get some merchandise and everybody wants to help out. I think that's all we can ask for. And then, from there, I think once we're there, it's fine. But you know what? We're not there, and we still do it. So that just goes to show that we love to do this.
Exactly, and that is why we do it. We're not doing it for the money. We're doing it
I don't need to sit here and say that I want to do it for this, that, and the other thing. I do this all the time because I love to do it. And if anybody here doesn't understand or realize that by now, well, I'm saying it, but I think everybody knows by now. We're not doing this right now for the money, but I think that it would help us out if we could get to a point where we're doing these and we're comfortable. We're making a few dollars to keep us, from getting better equipment, better microphones, better cameras, and then possibly some sponsors that we can find that would help you out. Like if we found, I don't know who it is yet, but if we found like a company that was like, hey, we want to sponsor you, and we thought that, oh yeah, like our fans would love this too, and we can get a discount for it, stuff like that.
Of
Like
course.
that would be like a goal, like a little short goal to do. Like why not? That's cool.
There we go. Anyway, Mate, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure we're going to, as I said, do this as a weekly thing. So I'll speak to you in the week and have a good evening. Take care.